Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And as promised, I would bring out another one of these Polish shooter's rations, which are also just labeled as a military ration. It's menu W1, and it's beef goulash. I've had this menu before, but it's been a few years, maybe a couple. And I bought this off of someone on Facebook. So this is the last complete ration I had before I left for my family trip. But I have since ordered some more. This is packed by Entree, which is the company that does all of the rations for the military, as well as civilian use in Poland. Go and switch to live chat. So Empos is here so far. Good morning. It's early morning there. I happen to love a good beef goulash, and a Polish do a pretty darn good one. The last time I got one of these, I had tried to order what's called the off-road ration, but that seller sent me the wrong one, but didn't respond to my messages about sending me the wrong one and why there was a switch. So I do hope to get one of those off-road rations in the near future, because I really do want to check those out. Yep, it's a good one. This one happens to have a double seal, so there's a seal line here and then one up here. Well, this one has a best before date of February of 22. And sorry about my phone mount shaking. This thing is not the most stable thing, but it's what I've had. I've had it for quite a number of years, and it's still holding. Looks like Infos got kicked out. I hope Infos can come back in. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and cut this open. I'm just going to use a pair of scissors, just because I can. If I was out in the field, I would be using a knife to cut that open. Okay, it looked like it showed no viewers for a while, so I hope everything is okay over there. So anyway, let's see what's in the bag. This is an accessory pack with a different type of matches and a flat plate that you fold into a stove. So that's the stove kit. Here's the other accessory pack, and it has been also put into a Ziploc bag. So you get a toothbrush, nearly a full-length toothbrush. And you get a utensil set with a napkin. Nut Walker peanuts. And they folded some of these items in here, so this is actually folded like this into the bag. It's an extra sticker that Artpol stuck on the peanuts. It looks like this jam took a bit of a hit, but it is intact. So it's good to know that is still okay to use. And one of the best chocolate bars in a ration, and of course one of the biggest, dark chocolate. And 2 packs of the special biscuits. Let's see, got a few others in here. Trevor, spicy tuna rolls. Thanks for dropping in. These have caraway seeds in them, and they are pretty hard. But if you treat them right, you can soak them in something to allow them to soften up a little bit. And here is a water bag with a hang string. So if you had to use water purification tablets or powder or some drops of something to purify water. This has a capacity of 1 liter. There's a liter mark. And you could hang this or you fill it, you can use it to carry the water back from the source. And this is one of the most unusual things that you might find in a ration. It's got a little bent out of shape, but it could still work. And here is a drink mix. I had it upside down, but this is an instant herbal tea. And the reason why you get that big can lifter is what that is because of this can. And this has a lid, so if you didn't eat all of it, or if you wanted to reuse this can later, you could put this plastic lid on top of it and save it for later. So as usual, at least for most of these rations, I use the ration bag as my trash bag. I'm going to set aside all the things I'm not going to use. I use tongs to get the can out of, but basically you would, if you had this over an open fire, you would open this up like that. Then you could put it around the can, and then you would reclose it. You'd reclose it around like that to lift the can off of a stove or off of a fire or however you're heating it. So I have another one of these, so I will save that. And of course, this I will save as well, because fuel tablets are a very good thing to have in your inventory. Mama Styles, thanks for dropping in. This and That with Matt is here. So the second person I haven't seen before in here. So again, thanks for dropping in. I do this every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. That's U.S. time. Enfos is on the other side of the pond, so it's early morning there. So in this one, you get 2 of these vitamin C candies. And Kofik is a coffee candy. Love those. And you get something that every U.S. ration should have. In addition to the salt, you get pepper. Then you get, this is one thing I do not like about these rations, is the gum is just out of a larger pack. But it's a stick of gum, old style, U.S. style gum. You get a 10-gram packet of sugar. This is a packet of instant coffee. That will go into the drinking jar. Another 10-gram packet of sugar. You get some tissues that feel a lot like toilet paper. And a very neat little Ziploc bag. And this is a water purification tablet. And 3 of these Be Fresh wet wipes. I'm opening the cutlery set. This one already was poking out through the other end. So you get a little spoon. This would be for, say, like mixing your drink. You get full-length fork, a larger spoon, and then you get a plastic knife, and you get a napkin. So all of these will get added to my stash of utensils that I save for emergency use for when I have to severely restrict my water use. This ration does not come with creamer. And this instant herbal tea can be done hot or cold. And it's in a smaller bag. It's not a pouch that you could actually mix in. It calls for 250 mils of water, which is slightly more than 8 ounces. I'm going to mix this first because sometimes these drinks have a tendency to take a little extra time to dissolve. So it is in more of a pelletized but sometimes these may dissolve better than a lot of those that just have a lot of sugar. You can tell by the color that it does look like a tea. Closer to the look of a green tea. It's a powder instant coffee. There's a shadow from my foam mount, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take this can into the kitchen. Now this label may come off, so I'm going to give you, it's in Polish, but so this Goulash drobiowy, which is a beef, so this is beef goulash, 300 grams. This has the nutritional info right here. And some other info, ingredients and where it's made. So I will get the right amount of sugar that I like in a coffee and some creamer, because I don't want to waste a 10-gram pack. Those will get saved as well. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I went to take the kettle back in, and yeah, it just came right off. And I left the lid off to allow extra steam to escape, and the can is sort of floats. These are roasted and salted peanuts. Not a really tight vacuum on here. There's the Carlos Perry in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I will put these right here. And for those that are just coming in, this is some call it a Polish shooter's ration, this could be an actual military ration or a civilian, like for hunters. This is W1 beef goulash. I'm not sure the production date, but February of 22 is the best buy date. This has a best buy date of August of 22. These actually did break in transit. But that's okay because I'm going to break them up even further. You really got to apply some force before these are soft enough to break these. That's good enough for now. I'm going to go ahead and open up both packs. This one remained intact. Yeah, no one else, like it, if everyone else is able to hear me except to Carlos, it could be something on his end. It's really dark purple. I'll put some of it on this cracker piece. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so it's got to be something on his end. So if tell him to refresh, maybe refresh it. Although he said he would come back in later. Or maybe he'll get out and come back in. That sometimes works. I'm going to go ahead and open up this awesomeness. 60% cacao. So it's fairly dark. No bloom on there whatsoever. Just that little spot right there. I'm going to go get the goulash and I'll be right back. I have it right here. I'm drying it off with a paper towel. I wanted to open it away from me so that it wouldn't splatter on anything. Nation MRE Finds is in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I'm just scrolling back through the chat. Oh, his yeah, his DeCarlos's son had the headphones or something. I'm going to put this into here. Well, this definitely doesn't look like beef goulash. This looks more like chicken. I think this might have gotten mislabeled because this looks more like chicken. I don't think this would be the first time that a food container for a ration has been mislabeled. I had one of those in the Russian 24-hour vegetarian ration that I did several years ago because the contents didn't look anything like what was on the picture. I would say this is more like a chicken stew. So this is definitely a menu that, or an entree that I have not had out of a Polish ration. This looks like just chicken meat. There's nothing else in here but the chicken. Of course, these are the tank treads that I put in here because I wanted them to soak up some of the goulash sauce, but it looks like they're going to be soaking up chicken broth. You definitely get a good amount of chicken in here. So I will later add a description after I'm done with the stream stating that this is actually chicken and that it was simply mislabeled as a beef goulash. So this is one of those times when the article got it wrong. Okay, this is an instant herbal tea. And as you can see right through to the bottom. Now these mix up very well, even in cold water. And this jam, when I licked the spork and the foil lid that was on here, it tasted like raspberry. And these are roasted and salted peanuts. I'm letting these soak up in this broth. Definitely softens them up, but it also adds that caraway flavor. To this chicken. The peanuts are starting to show their age. But they're still crunchy. Yeah, they just started to lose their vacuum. Usually these Nutwalker nut packets are so tightly vacuum sealed that you can see every single piece in there. But I'm not getting that rancid taste or sensation in my mouth, so I will finish those off. So it's this little white corner on this chocolate. Just the start of bloom, but I'm not too worried about it. Good snap. I bit where that white corner was. No problem whatsoever. Now this is just a light, refreshing herbal tea. Like I said, you can do these hot or cold, but since I have the coffee, I decided to go with it cold. Obviously, I'm not going to fault the person who sold this to me. Because it was labeled beef goulash, but it is clearly chicken. Sorry, I just read Carlos's comment about his son wanting to know what the drink was. That he knows coffee because DeCarlos drinks a whole lot of it, but an herbal tea is probably something that he hasn't seen a lot of. But now he has. Would have been nice if there was some veggies or at least noodles in here, but I'm enjoying this chicken. Again, for those who will be watching this on the replay, this is supposed to be a beef goulash, which would be a lot darker, redder, and it would have ingredients in there besides the beef chunks or ground beef, and it would have been flavored with the broken up Caraway special biscuits, but the packer messed up and either put the wrong label on the can or put the wrong food in the can, but the label was correct for that particular production run. So this could have been packed in, say, like 2019 or 2020. I'm looking at the numbers on the back of the chocolate bar wrapper. So February of 22 is the best buy date. So this 7 with 20 here could be that this bar was packed in July of 2020. That's just a guess on my part. Okay, so that's, in case you missed it, I was just explaining that the chocolate bar wrapper has a best buy date of February of 22, and then there was a 20 and a 7, and I'm guessing that might have been the production date of that particular bar, so I would guess this ration might have been packed in 2020, but I could be wrong. Because the boiling process pretty much destroyed the label that was on the can. I can't get anything off of it. The sticker that Arpo put on the back of the Snut Walker packet may have covered up the Best Buy date on here, so I can't even see what that is. And I think that's all I'm going to mess with that. Anyway, back to the chicken. There is still some crunch. So the middle of these biscuits is still fairly firm. I do like the flavor combination that this jam and the biscuits have. Yeah, I'm sure that little guy is enjoying the Paw Patrol. My great niece is way too old to be watching stuff like that. Although she still likes what's known as little pet shop characters, and she still plays with those toys even though she's 12. But she had a really good time at camp, and the last 3 years, a friend got to join her for at least part of the time. It's a different girl each time, and this time it was a girl from a class or an after-school club that she's in, and so she had a really good time, and they both caught fish. Now, I was looking for the prize of goulash, but I'm happy with this chicken. Although we could say the toothbrush was a prize. This will be going into my preps as well. I can either barter that or have it for my own use, even though I have a growing collection of toothbrushes. I buy some, and then I get free ones from the dentist when I go for my twice a year cleanings. I save all those. So I'm building up a pretty good supply of toothbrushes. This is an herbal tea, so it's made from plants other than the tea leaf. So it does not have caffeine like coffee. And it looks like a green tea, very light in flavor. And it's not a sweetened or not very heavily sweetened. Now, there's a bit of sweetness, but not a whole lot. It's just right. There's James Ortiz in the house. You're supposed to be looking at beef goulash, but it's a chicken stew with just chicken in the broth. So someone at Artpol messed up and quality control didn't catch it. Now, coffee's not bad. As far as instant coffees go. And this tastes like a raspberry, like a black raspberry jam. These are roasted and salted peanuts. And some of the best chocolate out of Ration. I have heard about that 90%. I have seen that on Camp Patton Family Compound, that channel. In fact, his wife introduced it to him. And so he has been buying that. That's almost pure cocoa. Just other things in order to make it into the bar form. This is 60%. Yeah, some people have a hard time, but when you break it up, or you allow it to soak up the broth, then it's a whole lot easier to eat. DeCarlos, I hope you're able to get that issue taken care of soon so you can get back to eating the kinds of food you want. You know, if I have a dental work like a crown, which I had before I went on my trip, I would, even if I'm not told to do that, I would just tend to eat soft food. Or just be careful how I'm biting and chewing my food for a few days, just as a precaution. But once these things get softened up, they're a lot easier to eat, and they're trading flavors with whatever you put it in. And as I said earlier, later on I will add a description for those that watch this on the replay that the bag and the can said beef goulash, but this is clearly not beef, this is chicken. And that's all it is chicken in the broth, and whatever seasonings they put in, and that's it. This chicken would be something that I would add to the USMRE cream spinach fettuccine. And of course, that's what I did the last time I had one of those. So, but this chicken does taste good. It just would have been nice to have something else in there with it, like some kind of veggies or even a noodle or rice or something. It's only getting additional flavor from the biscuit pieces that I put in there. Now this little container took a bit of a hit. But it was not damaged, so that's why I'm still going after it. Again, this tea is an instant herbal tea, lightly sweetened, light in flavor, kind of like a green tea, but with plant ingredients other than the actual tea leaf. And these roasted and salted peanuts had lost a little bit of their vacuum, but they hadn't gone completely rancid. They're just on the stale side, but they're still crunchy. I have no issues eating them. Oh, that's good. I drop occasional shorts. That a little fire video, and I was toasting a marshmallow. I used no other light except the firelight. There's Mike Crusher in the house. Thanks for dropping in. You're looking at an oops on the part of the packer. See where it says goulash? And drobiovi is beef, but as you can see, it's chicken. And it's just chicken in the broth with pieces of the tank treads in there to give it some flavor and soften them up. So someone at Artpol made an oops during the production of this particular canned item. Got 60% cacao, dark chocolate, one of those big bars. One of the best chocolate bars you can get out of a ration. And then once that heals up, it'll be a smoother sailing, no doubt, when it comes to eating the food that you would normally want to eat. I usually have no issues with eating these in this state. Many years ago, when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, I thought they were only going to pull two, but that dentist ended up pulling all four out in one shot. And that went very well, so hopefully that'll be the same for you. There's Robert in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Robert, you are looking at an Artpol oops. This is supposed to be beef goulash, but it's stewed chicken. Nothing else in there in the broth but the seasonings and the chicken. Which I added pieces of the always hard special biscuits. Yeah, that would have been a smart move. So here we got the roasted and salted peanuts from Nutwalker. The pack had started to lose its vacuum because they're kind of loose in there. So they taste a little stale, but they're not rancid. So they still have their crunch, and they're still perfectly fine to eat. Got raspberry jam here. This is an herbal tea, which you can do these hot or cold. I chose to do it cold because their ration also included coffee. Nice light flavor, just slightly sweet. Of course, if you want some of the best ration chocolate in the world, 60% cacao, so it's not as dark as I would prefer. I like a 70%, but I'll take this any day. And this ration included 2 packets of sugar, so 20 grams of sugar, no creamer, so I didn't want to open up one of those big sugar packets for just one serving of coffee, so I just went and got my own out of my sugar container. And for those who may not have seen my community posts or replayed my earlier stream from last week and the probably week before, I was not here last Sunday because I was at camp and signal out there is spotty at best. I could upload video or a very, very short video to Facebook. I could upload pictures to Facebook, but I could not upload a picture to YouTube. So the pictures that I posted on my community tab from camp were actually posted Friday night, after I got home. I was able to upload one of the shorts to YouTube. The other, I shot them there, but then I waited till I got back here to upload them. Yeah, it's actually a cool day here. We had rain off and on all day. In fact, I heard thunder while I was in bed last night, so I knew we were going to get some. Let me get the focus back. There we go. So it rained a fair amount because most of my plants got watered. I only had to water a few, and what I did was I took one of my little pitchers that I used to water my plants, and the 3 plant stands that have collection trays for catching water that drips down from the pots that are sitting on them. I dump those into that little pitcher, plus some from a lid that's on the deck floor underneath one of my pots that are along the deck rail, and actually use that some of that water to water the plants that did not get hit by any of the rain, and then the rest of that water went into my compost bin. Yeah, that's the key. You don't want to, when it's super hot, if you can avoid it, don't go out in the hottest part of the day. So I just grabbed another. So 77 Fahrenheit was our high today. Now it's 73. As my old Samsung Galaxy S5, which I used to stream on until I started using this Revel. So I just grabbed that so I could pop the weather up. But I should not have to water my plants probably for some of them for a few days, because some of them got a fair amount of water in them. And it might take a little while for all of that to trickle down and drain out. For obvious reasons, I'm not showing the green bucket anymore because that little moringa seedling did not make it after that previous heavy rain that left a couple inches of water above the top of the soil in that bucket. So I will probably just dump all that back into the compost bin. I'm not going to bother planting anything in it. I'll just dump that bucket and then mix that with the compost that's in the bin. And then I'll be able to use that for planting next year. Unless I find something that I could plant in the fall and would just sit out there over the winter without needing much of anything done to it except for getting snowed on. Of course, another mistake I made with that moringa is I put this three seeds too close to the inside of the bucket instead of more towards the middle. So I may not even try that again because a plant like that, it grows up into a tree. That needs a lot more space than what I would be able to provide. But I will hold on to the rest of those seeds. Because who knows, I may be able to put that in another location and maybe give some to someone who could grow them and be able to make use of them. A car of halal emeries? I cannot store a carload of them. I don't think I would have room in this apartment for that much. But I would love to get my paws on some foreign halal rations like the British ORPs and RCIRs, and I think there are German ones that are marked halal. But yeah, a case, I could definitely store a case. But I just sent some money to another person for some loose MREs, including an HDR. So that person will get those shipped out tomorrow, I hope. But I would definitely would like to try some other newer halal MREs because I don't think I've tried all the new menus yet. Some of the older menus I haven't tried either. I've never tried the ratatouille, and I've always wanted to try that one. Well, I don't have much as far as trading goes. I still have the duplicate mains from that Chef 5-minute meal 72-hour ration. And I got some loose Minotaur stuff, but not anywhere near enough to equal a trade for a whole case. Now, one of the MREs that is in this lot that's supposed to be sent to me is actually, there are two of them. So I just asked the guy how much are all of them, including shipping. So he gave me a price, paid it, and so I was here in the U.S., so I'm not having to pay more in shipping than the cost of the actual rations. I went ahead and ordered those because this Polish ration is my last complete ration that I had in stock. So that's why I went ahead and picked it for tonight. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting those. So I would trade off the duplicate of one of the MREs in this slot. Or maybe more, you know. I will probably order some more rations for, you know, like when I get my money for September. We'll just have to see how that goes. I have not tried getting in there for probably quite some time. It could be a site issue, could be the service that is hosting that site. Who knows, but if there's a way to contact that could be a way to go, or trying on a different browser. Of course, lately there has been a lot of hacking going on. Specific websites get hacked, or web hosting companies get hacked, or some other stuff that's going on. I don't know if they have it used to be called Twitter account. Now it's just called X. I don't know if they had any kind of social media links on the site. I never really looked for that. Yeah, that's got to be something going on. If two of you are having that issue. Thanks for dropping in, Robert. Hope to see you another time. Yeah, life happens. That's why Smokey wasn't on last night, because something came up probably just at the time that he was getting ready to toss up an announcement of what he would be doing, but no doubt he will update us all what's going on when he's able to. Huh. Well, it looks like the admins of that site have a little work to do. there have been times where I would try to access a site, but whatever network I'm on, especially if I'm not at home, sometimes that network will block access to a site that is very secure, a site that I've been into probably hundreds of times. Or at least dozens of times, and it will just block it. And if you tell it you want to go to it anyway, it won't let you. I mean, it's like someone is saying you're not allowed. Yeah, me too, Mike. And when I use certain free access Wi-Fi's, meaning that you don't have to have a password, you just have to hit a button saying you agree to their terms of use. When I use certain Wi-Fi's like that, instead of burning my mobile data, I can't go to many websites so if I wanted to go to the power company website and look at something there, it may not allow that because they restrict the kinds of content that can be accessed on their network. Much like you would find in other countries that heavily restrict what people can do online. I'm going back for more of this jam. I haven't seen those expired certificate notices very often. when a site is blocked. It's just telling me that, you know, I am not allowed to go there at all. Even if it's, say, like a city government website. Say I want to look up city council meeting minutes. In certain places with the public access Wi-Fi's, even a trusted site like that, you may not be allowed access. So I tend to stick to using my mobile data. And sometimes in these Wi-Fi's, I have not been able to use my my banking app so that's why I don't access a lot of public Wi-Fi's. Now, secured Wi-Fi's where you have a password. It's like I'm at my mosque. I will access that Wi-Fi because I have no issues with that. I have no problems with it. Yeah. Yep. I have known people who have had their identities stolen, and it was a bear to get all that straightened out. In fact, I recently had my debit card canceled because of a hack. But I have known people who have had stuff done in their name that they in no way could have done because they're not in the location of the person who committed that crime. Or may even have the knowledge to do something like that. In fact, at camp we were talking about, I don't know how the subject came up, but we have seen the scams going around Facebook and Messenger where someone says you can apply to this international human development grant, but they want your personal information. But that's a scam because I've seen that sent by too many people. So whoever those are coming from, those people had their accounts hacked. And they may not even be aware that these things are being spread around until someone tells them. Now when I look at, or they're complete duplicate fake accounts, and I looked at one, and they stole the picture of a person that I know very well, but I looked at the profile and it did not fit what I know to be correct for that person. And so I blocked that person. In fact, I've done this a number of times. I would block the fake accounts because I don't need to be getting friend requests from someone I'm already friends with. That's another way you can get fooled if you see a friend request from someone who you're already Facebook friends with, or you're an Instagram follower of. Then and then you look at the profile and you see something's not right, like the number of followers nowhere near matches what's true, or number of others they follow. I'm obviously not going to mention any names because I want to protect the privacy of these people. But yeah, you got to watch out for stuff like that. And of course, there's the usual scams of you get messages saying that a person you supposedly know has been in a serious accident when you know that's not true, or they're in jail when you know that's not true, especially if that person is right in the same location you are. I say if one of my relatives got a message or a call saying that their child was in a serious accident or is in jail when that person was right there next to the person receiving that message. Yeah, you got to watch out for things like that. Several years ago, I sent a person money for 4 MREs. I never got them. So that person was scamming people, probably faking someone else's name in order to get money. Huh. Wow. Oh, sorry, I had a brief disconnect. And the chat still stayed up. Wow. I don't know if I'm close to the limit on my Facebook friends, but I don't accept every request that I get. And if I send a request and it's not accepted from me, that doesn't bother me. But you got to be cautious. There's Cliff in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I would tell you that you're looking at an article. Oops, but already ate all the entree. This is supposed to be beef goulash, but it ended up to be a stewed chicken with nothing else in the broth but seasoning. Just the seasonings and the chicken. When I opened up that can, I thought, that looks a little light to be goulash. But as far as the chicken goes, it was not too bad. It just seemed to be missing something, like veggies or pasta or rice or something else in there with the chicken. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. That's a bugger. Cliff, my condolences to the family. Now, if you didn't come in here at all because of that, I perfectly understand. Yeah, LC is away from home, so that's why she's not in here. But she'll probably watch the replay later. Yeah, she's still been dealing with the wildfire smoke up there. It's hanging over the place where she's at. Hopefully it'll rain up there, and that will kind of take some of that out. Yeah, this is the ration bag. So Artpol made a mistake, or someone on that packaging line, get the focus back, someone on the packaging line either put the wrong label on the can, had to go to the chicken line instead of the beef goulash line, or the label was correct, but chicken got put in there instead of beef goulash, and that didn't get caught by quality control. And as I said earlier, it's not the first time I opened up something and it was clearly not what it was supposed to be. Like that Russian vegetarian 24-hour ration. The cardboard sleeve over that foil container showed something, but when I opened it up, it did not match the picture, and it did not look like any of the other ones. Yeah, I wish you could get some of the rain that's been falling in excess elsewhere. Of course, we needed the rain here in Iowa, and I'm glad we got it, but for some crops it's probably too little too late. You know, it doesn't spread evenly across the state. There are probably some places outside of Des Moines that didn't get anything from the weather today. This is herbal tea. You can do these hot or cold. And they mix very well. This one got 2 10-gram packs of sugar for one coffee. I suppose one for the tea, one for the coffee, but the tea doesn't need any sugar, and the coffee doesn't need more than 5 grams, I wouldn't think. So that's about all I put in. From my own sugar in my kitchen, I didn't open up the sugar packets. This is the can wire that was included in there for lifting the can off of a stove or fire, however you cook it, other than putting it in water to boil. So the second one of those I have. So this is the sugar packet. Well, I just now noticed as I picked up that sugar packet, this is a little bag for trash. As you can see, it's not very big. But nonetheless, this little thing is a keeper. Oh wow, that's going to be a little on the warm side. And maybe it'll be humid too. Yeah, yesterday when I was at the mosque for a cookout we did, it wasn't all that hot, but it was humid as heck, so that made it even worse. So there, a number of people, mostly women with kids, who took them inside into our community room to eat their meal and sit under the ceiling fans. If it weren't for the rain we had today, it probably would have been probably close to that temperature today. I finished off the last bite of that special biscuit with the black raspberry jam. Now I'm down to my chocolate. One of those big chocolate bars. Yeah, Cliff, that would be like fall weather. Almost chilly enough where I might consider a jacket. But I checked a little while ago and it was 73 Fahrenheit. Yeah, you went from spring into fall up there. Yeah, I watch a channel from Alaska. Her channel name is Alaska Granny, and she has been saying that about the Fairbanks area. Been getting a lot of rain up there. And there is Storms Radio and Cats in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, you're looking at all that I have left because I ate everything else. It was supposed to be beef goulash, but I ended up having a stewed chicken in broth because the packer made a mistake. Because the goulash is supposed to be kind of a reddish brown. Now I think you can tell by the color of that. That is not goulash colored. And some of the special biscuits were already broken, so I broke them up a little bit more, and I put the chicken run on it after I opened the can. Actually, I'll show you the inside of the can. When I saw that, whoa, what the heck? Yeah, so that was an oops on their part. Yep. In fact, speaking of seasons changing, you want to buy something for a future season like winter, buy it during the summer when the prices of those items are low. See, like if you want to get a Mr. Heater, buy one of those now and get your propane for it. That way, when winter comes, you already have it. You know, and, and people who heat with firewood, they start acquiring it, whether just by buying it or cutting it themselves and then splitting and stacking it. They do that in the spring and summer. And if they have the means to and the space for it, store up to a year and a half's worth. Some maybe more if they have the space and the means to do that. You know, so you burn the wood that you cut or acquired the year before. That way the new wood has more time to season. So one channel I watched, or some of them, that's what they do. They acquire their firewood in the warmer months. That way they're not scrambling to get it when it gets colder. That way they are all ready for winter. Or to use in their wood stove if they can cook on it, as a means to cook without electricity or natural gas if they don't have a propane stove that doesn't require electricity to ignite it. And when I was given that Target gift card at the end of Ramadan, I used it to buy a few items, and Target had a 3-pack of those little green 1-pounders. So now I have 5 of those. So that gives me more to use if I need it during winter, but I would be very sparing with it. Well, you get one of those big, like 500-gallon tanks, or 250. That will definitely work out. But, you can always have some firewood as a backup, or if you have a fire pit. I mean, heck, I live in an apartment, but I got bags of sticks. So if I need to use a twig stove, I got those sticks to use in it. And because I have one of those isobutane stoves, I keep a few of those cans, and I like to get a couple more. And because I got some more of these, this is yet another fuel option. I just opened up that stove kit, safety matches, brown tip, little stick matches. Another good thing to have in your supplies. This looks exactly like the French folding stove that you get in the French RCIR. Of course, I save all of these things. In fact, I use an ammo can to store these. Keeps it sealed, keeps them protected, and because these fuel tabs stink, it keeps that contained. And they're at least double wrapped. I'm running out of space in that ammo can, so I might have to get another one, because I'm sure I will continue to acquire those. Yeah. Speaking of chainsaws, I have seen more channels showing off these mini battery-powered chainsaws where the actual chain, the bar that the chain rotates on, either 4 inches or 6 inches, some might be 8. But even though I live in the middle of the city, I'm seriously thinking about getting one of those. That way, if I do have to cut a larger piece of wood, that would take a lot of effort with one of my hand saws. I could use that little thing. Yeah, the Saker seems to be the brand that I've seen most often. And it looks like that seems to be either the most popular or that's the best But they're all over Amazon and eBay. But I would want to have more than one battery for it. Because when you're looking at them online, you look at the picture and it only shows one battery. And you would have to contact the company about getting additional batteries for it. Yeah. So I am seriously considering getting one, but maybe one that already comes with two batteries. And then there are some, be a little more expensive, that you can have two lengths of the bar, a 4-inch and a 6-inch, and you could interchange those. In addition to having two chains per bar. Yeah. That would be another thing with that as well. But if if the pieces are not all that big and you're not doing a whole lot of it, then I would probably just stick to a handsaw for that. But something like that would be good for someone who does not have the arm strength to use a handsaw for an extended period of time or through some really hard wood. Yep. And that's what the other YouTubers have said about using a small one like that. It's good for cutting up the small stuff. And you don't have to do it for like 3 or 4 hours at a time. But I definitely do want to get one. Because not only could I cut up some of the bigger pieces that I have in a shorter amount of time, but if a tree should drop a big branch, and it might be a while before someone comes with a saw to cut it, I could at least take mine down there, take off some of the smaller parts of it to clear a path. Now that would be what I would do around here. The one storm that we had that dropped a whole bunch of rain on us and swamped my moringa seedling. The sycamore tree that is in front of the mailboxes, that dropped a long branch. It wasn't the huge ones like what dropped during the 2020 derecho that smacked us. Yeah, that branch that dropped this time didn't have to be cut up to be moved out of the way. I just picked it up and tossed it onto the grass because it was laying across the sidewalk, so it didn't have to be cut up at all. I just picked it up and tossed it onto the grass so people and dogs could go by. Yeah, see, that's another thing. Some of these that I've seen online, they may have a spare chain with it, but I have not seen anything as far as sharpening the teeth on a chain. So you would definitely have to buy that separate unless you're just going to use a file. But you would have to have the right kind of file to do that. And I probably do not. Yeah, I do have a small hacksaw that's probably only about that long that I have. That takes a 6-inch blade. I do have spares for that. I don't use it a whole lot, but I will probably get even more blades for it. It's not the only handsaw I have. I have a miter saw that I found in a thrift store. It was just loose on a shelf, so I have that. And I got folding saws. So so right now I'd say I'm good to go on that, but I do want to up my game a little bit as far as having a little bit more power. course, I don't want to buy so much stuff that my apartment looks like a hoarder lives here. So I have to be very selective. Plus, I would like to find some place locally here where I can have some of my stuff moved to so I can get it out of here. There is Shadow Scout Swede in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Yep. Don't have anything left to eat but the last couple of squares of this awesome the big Polish chocolate bar. Yeah, and you missing an arpel oops. Because as the title says, beef goulash, but that's not goulash colored. There's chicken in that can. It was just chicken and broth. It was seasoned well. I did not have to use the salt and pepper. Of course, this is something that should be in every USMRE, but you only get it in the halal ones. Yeah, this says goulash. And drobiovi means beef, but yeah, that clearly was not beef goulash. But it was good over the busted up special biscuits. Yeah, it is. That's what when I opened up the can and I was looking at it, I'm thinking, what the heck? And then I dumped it out onto the tray over the cracker pieces, and it was chicken. So I will put a description under this after I finish the stream and it's in process to say that somewhere along the line during the packaging process, either the wrong label got put on the can or the wrong food got put in the can. So somehow there's a mix-up on the packing line. Yeah, I was a little disappointed, but the chicken was still very good. It was nicely seasoned. The broth was just missing something like a veggies or noodles or rice or anything like that, but it was just the chicken and the seasoned broth. But there's a lot of it in the big chunks. Exactly. And there have been recalls that I've heard about where an item had incorrect contents and it has either has affected people who are sensitive to something that should not have been in there in the first place, or there's a possibility of it containing something that it shouldn't have. Say, I know someone who is severely allergic to sesame. So, a salad dressing that could have been used on the salad that was brought for our cookout yesterday, that had either sesame seed or sesame oil in it. And so it's a good thing we checked that over before putting it on there. And it's a good thing we didn't put any salad dressing whatsoever. We left it on the side so people could put it on if they wished. Because it would have just wilted in the heat out there. But yeah, we had to be very careful about things like that. So you know, like that one MCW, I was going to eat everything out of. The white outer bag did not indicate that the eggs had ham in it. I only noticed that when I took out the Mountain House entree out of there, and I saw that it had ham in it. I said, nope, that is going to go to someone else. And it eventually did. So so Warnick packs those MCWs, the meal cold weather. So I don't know if they changed that one for that particular menu, corrected it on the outside of the bag. Because if a Jew or a Muslim would have been given that one and not known it was going to have ham in it until opening up the bag, they would have either not eaten the entire ration, or they would have traded with someone else, if someone else is available, traded that entree for a different one. And speaking of MCWs, I've heard that some menus have gotten taken out and new ones put in their place, so I would be interested in at least looking at some of the newer ones. You know, there are some halal MREs that I have not tried that I would like to, so it would be awesome to get a whole case of them, but right now that's not going to be possible. Now, this W1 was the last ration I had in my box, but I paid someone in a messenger chat, and the guy said he was about to put all of them in a flat rate shipping box. And it was a good thing he was about to do that, because I said, how much for all of them? And even though there's a duplicate of one of them. I don't care. I can always trade that one off. If I wanted to, but or just keep it and just not even open it on camera. As these are, I'm not sure about the HDR that's in the bunch, but I might have had that particular one. I don't know. I won't know until I see it. But these other menus I've had before. But it's just getting some new stuff in. So I'm hoping that he will have these handed off to a post office tomorrow. Because, yeah, he's here in the U.S., so I don't have to worry about them being rated. But I hope to have them before next Sunday so I can have a few more things to get into. Then 2 times next month, I will be heading out. One will be my younger nephew's wedding. He's getting married next month. And that will be a Sunday night, Monday morning stay there because we are going out of town and it would just be too late to try to get there and back and still get a chance at a little sleep. So we're going to spend the night at a location near there where the wedding is going to be at. And then, of course, the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow. I need to reach out to them again, and because I haven't had any response to my earlier messages about getting a ride and something that I got a duplicate of that I want to offer up to them either for their fundraiser auction that they do, or if they want to just keep the thing and use it for future events. You know, that'll be totally up to them. But somehow I got 2 of this item. So one I'm keeping and one I want to give to them. But I need to find out if I will need to bring my own tent, which I can because I did that last year and the year before. Or if a person who does the kids' crafts with me, she kind of kicked around the idea of maybe letting me use one of the teepees because they're going to have more teepees set up. Oh yeah, doing the kids' crafts is really enjoyable. Yeah, even when we have issues like not very much of a certain project for the kids to do, but we have come up with other things like picking up rocks from the area, or someone bringing in rocks that are clean that kids can paint, or something like that. And my cat has decided to come down, sit below hang out below my chair. I think she might be smelling the chicken that I ate. Pumpkin! Pumpkin! Pumpkin. Where's my torty girl? Here's my torty girl. I got this cardboard down here because I have a big hole in this carpet that has eaten all the way through the busted up cement board down here. And one of the wheels of my chair likes to sink down in it, so I'm trying these cardboard pieces, but they get worn out pretty fast. But you gotta look at Pumpkin. Now, she is 4 years old. I don't know the exact date because I got her 2 years ago when she was 2, after I came back from the annual family trip to Lake Icaria. And we are booked there for 2025. So we booked the 2 cabins that we use for next year. We did that last year. And my one sister who does the bookings, she got enough signal where she could go ahead and book for 2025. I mean, you have to book that far in advance at these parks and campgrounds, especially if you want a particular spot. And of course, the rates are going up like everything else is. Yeah, I mean, before 2019, 2019, we didn't have, we booked for the way we do it is, or we used to be able to do it. Before we leave from the current trip, we try to book for the next year, but then after the big nasty hit, you have to book for 2 years in advance. So when we booked for so in 2020, we still did the trip, even though a lot of other places may not have been open, but here in Iowa, there was not the long lockdowns or the real hard lockdowns like some other states had. So the campgrounds did open up at their usual times, their usual dates. But no additional restrictions were applied to them, other than that, because so many people wanted to get out of the cities or out of town that they would go to the campgrounds. And so they got more popular, and they have just stayed that way. The cost of going out of state is getting so high that people are staying in state and choosing a campground or a hotel in the area that they want to visit, as opposed to going 1 or 2 or 3 or more states away. So if we continue to do these trips to Lake Icaria, next year we would have to book for 26. but it's still a whole lot less expensive than going a few states away and then still having to find a place to stay. Plus, acquire your food, all of your food while you're out there, whereas we took most of it with us. We did very little grocery shopping once we were there. We made, picked up a few items. In fact, I didn't even buy anything for myself when we hit the Dollar General store in the town of Corning. I went because I figured, I'll be a pair of eyes and say help locate something. And I told my sister where one thing was that we were looking to get, and if we could get everything there in the Dollar General, then that's what we did. So, although she did go into the Hy-Vee that's in town to get a copy of the local newspaper that my mom likes to read, and then she found an item that they had on clearance. These fresh produce containers are square ones. So she bought out what they had, and actually she gave 2 of them to me, so I have 2 of those little containers. Yeah, we did buy firewood once we got there. We bought the bundles of firewood. My one sister, she collects tree branches from her yard, or say maybe any nearby properties where they say she can do that, or like from public areas around, but mostly from her yard if she has to prune a tree or cut off some dead branches. That's how she acquires the kindling, and then we get the bundle firewood once we get there, get all our stuff in the cabins. Yeah, we use cabins because my oldest sister uses a CPAP, and so she needs power. And my mom has mobility issues. She uses a walker. And because she only has a cell phone, not a landline, she keeps that phone on all the time. She plugs it into charge, but it's on all the time. That way, if there's an emergency call or emergency text from someone, if it's a call, she can put her hearing aids in, or at least one of them in, to take that call or listen to a voicemail, or she can read an emergency text. Yeah, plus she uses an app on her phone to track the battery level of her hearing aids. Of course, while we were at the lake, the power to her apartment went out for a few hours. But the cabins, the one cabin is wheelchair accessible. The other is not, but they're next to each other, so we split our group into those 2 cabins. And then there are benches all around the lake, and some additional new ones have been added since last year when some benches got added to the ones that were there previously, like the one I showed in one of my camp videos, the memorial bench that has my dad's name on it. The little plaque on there, it's just plastic, so that will have to be replaced. At first I thought it was metal because it looked like a brass plate, but no, they're plastic. But having those benches there gives people a place to sit while they're fishing. Yeah, and those benches are very good to fish from. The only hard thing about fishing around that lake is all the rocks that are put there to prevent erosion and silt buildup into the lake. But it's very hard to fish them because they're just piled there, so some of them might be a bit loose. But yet, the way they're piled up there, if I can't get my rod holder in the hard ground, then I can just stick it in between a few of those rocks and use rocks as a rod holder. But yeah, I got better with the fishing. I caught 3 of them. Yeah, I did selfie shots at those fish, but the bullhead, I was facing the wrong way, so you can only see the outline of the shape of the fish, not really the color, but it's the black bullhead. Yeah, my fish just got tipped. So it was a black bullhead. That was the first one, so I caught that in the evening after sunset, so that was kind of dark anyway. And then I caught the little bluegill, and then the little bass. The way that fish was spinning as I was holding the line. I took the picture and you got the belly of that bass. But that's just some of the species that are in that lake. Yeah, there's my younger nephew caught a monster catfish, and it almost broke his fish scale because his scale only weighs up to 8 pounds. And so I maxed out his scale. And if I would have known he was trying to weigh that fish, I would have offered him up my scale. I think it goes up to like 15 pounds. I'd have to look at that thing again. But I could have let him use that scale, but he guesses it was probably about 10 pounds. But that was a big fish. It was 28 inches long, so that is over 2 feet of channel catfish. So I would have to raise my phone mount up to show you what 28 inches is probably like. I mean, it'd be almost as wide as this table. So here's the left edge, so past where my right hand is on this, I'm just showing you my thumb, but that would be about as long as that fish was. I mean, that thing is a fatty too. But I got a picture of it with him holding that thing and my mom sitting next to him. Almost kept it, but because a heron got two other keepers that two others in our group caught, we let the big monster go. Well, we ended up releasing that one because it was in a fish bass. It was on a stringer with two other smaller catfish. But there's this heron bird that was robbing the stringer, and only the head of one fish was left, and the other one was pretty much gone, so we just decided to let that big one go. And then the rest of what we caught was kind of small. I mean, here you have to have 18 inches of length for a bass. And one of my other sisters caught a walleye that was almost keeper size, but a little small. And then she caught a yellow perch, which is keeper size, but we just let them all go. And then I mean, it's just as fun to catch and release as it is to catch and keep. And I packed my travel Scrabble game and we played it. Or a few of us did. So my Bananagrams game, I also packed that, but no one was interested in that, so the Scrabble will go again next year, but the Bananagrams will stay here at home. And it'll just be one of my games that I can have. See, if I'm bored out of my gourd during a power outage, although I'd have to figure out how to play against myself with that. But those travel games are very good for trips like that, especially if you have to stay inside or under some kind of a canopy when it's raining. There is Sharon in the house. Good day. Thanks for dropping in. All the food is gone. My coffee's gone. I have a little bit of my cold, was cold, instant herbal tea left. And Arpol made a mistake with this one, because instead of beef goulash being in the can, stewed chicken was in the can. Nothing else in it but the seasonings and the broth. No veggies, no pasta, no rice, or anything like that in with the chicken. And it was a chicken broth and not a goulash sauce, so someone at Artpol made a mistake. And I will note that in a description later after I close out this stream. But we're just talking about my trip that I came back from this past Friday. So that, I left. So I got picked up here last Sunday at around 11:15. And then my one sister who picked me and my stuff up, she took me back to her house that she shares with another sister. And then the way we do it is we combine as much as we could, say like all of our food items. We put them into as few containers as possible, whether it be the like collapsible hard-sided tote bags or coolers. And then we pack up the vehicles that we would take with our stuff. Some, like not all of my stuff would end up in one vehicle. Like my suitcase and pillow might be in one. My rod bag might be in another. And other than my food, those three items were the only things that were left as is. Now we use regular bed sheets because the cabins have mattresses. And of course, when you go in the summer, you don't want a sleeping bag, not even to just lay on top of, so we just use bed sheets that are only reserved for use in the cabins. And after they're washed, same with the towels, the bath towels and hand towels that we take. Once they're washed, they're folded or rolled and put back into the vacuum bags. And all the air is sucked out. Then they're put into storage inside of a tote or a bin or something so that they can be protected from critters getting into them. And then they're just saved for the next trip. That way they don't have to take from what they would normally use on a daily basis. And the same with their, what we use for cookware and utensils. For the most part, what we use for these trips is all kept together in these totes with hinged lids. After they get washed, and anything like Ziploc bags or like plastic utensils or anything of that nature, that stuff would get restocked. And then we have a coffee maker that stays in a box when it's not used because it's only used for the annual trip to the lake. Because my sisters have coffee pot. My mom has one, I got one, so that way we can keep that one separate for the trip. And then we didn't even have to buy coffee because there was some coffee that was used at the mosque sometime back for an event and no one else was using it. In fact, there are two kinds and a big container of creamer and the large basket filters that are about that big around. Those are there, so I was told I could take those home. So the bigger of the two containers of the coffee, so I took that. I took the filters. Then the smaller coffee container, I didn't take that at all because obviously that would have been way more than enough. From the Dunkin' Donuts container, that was a big size. And the small plastic, the small Folgers one would have been probably too small. So as far as the creamer, what I did was I have a smaller creamer container. I just keep refilling from a larger one. So I just filled that one as full as I could. And then I just took that, and the rest of that is here at home. So I will just use up the rest of that myself. So I won't have to buy creamer or coffee for quite some time because I'm still using the coffee that I got last month. But once I do end up using all of that coffee up in that creamer, I will have additional plastic containers that I can use to store other things in. So I have things that I can repurpose. Because some of my plastic coffee containers, I have bags of salt or bags of sugar in for longer term storage, and others I have my my seeds in. So they're in their individual packets and then inside of yet another bag, plus they're in that container. So that's how I keep them organized. My coffee maker uses a reusable filter basket, but it's smaller. So I just keep those larger filters ready for when they will be needed again. Plus, coffee filters are a good thing to add to your preps anyway, because you can do a whole lot more than just filter coffee with them. People who own multiple cast iron pieces that they can stack, they'll put a coffee filter or a paper doily in between them when they stack them. Or they may do that with what someone calls fine china. Or you can use them to filter water with. If someone strains something else through it, they want to catch particulates, but yet allow a liquid to go through it. You can use a coffee filter for that. Like if I wanted to collect rainwater, I would filter out the particulates before I would run it through one of my filters, or before I would drop a water purification tablet in it. Yeah, I have a larger basket type reusable coffee filter, and then two of the cone shaped ones that I had with other coffee makers that I had, but they crap out. I would donate the carafes to a thrift store, get rid of the coffee maker part, but I would keep those filters. Because they can be reused for something else. When the coffee maker I'm currently using, when that craps out, I will keep that little filter basket, store it away with the others, and just get another coffee maker. Yeah, I try to repurpose as much as I can. Like, even this thing can be repurposed because I could use it. See, if I have a small pot of that I could put inside this thing, if it has just enough of a rim or a taper, I could put this around there. And then use this to lift it off of a stove or a fire or whatever. Of course, I would wear a glove when doing this, especially if I was taking something off of an open fire. But this is actual steel. It's just a copper coating over the steel. You can tell that it's steel by, I don't know, I'll have to open it up, but see if I can get it to focus this. So you can tell that that is a silver colored metal inside of that copper coating. And I tested it with a magnet, so this is steel, so it's stronger than copper. It just looks like copper. So this is the second one of these I have now. So some of these Polish rations are the only place you can get something like that. Yeah, I have some winter work gloves. I don't have any of the unlined leather work gloves that you would wear in warmer months. But I do intend to change that. But my lined insulated Wells Lamont gloves, I have taken those out on a trip and I have used those. around the fire, and they're a little bit more compact, and they give you more dexterity than the street fine welding gloves that I have. Yeah, I found at two different locations, I found welding gloves that were just left on the side of the road or on the grass right next to the curb. One time I found a right glove, another time I found a left. They have a different colored band around the cuff. But I don't care. I saw them, I said, these are mine. So I have used those at camp as well. But, you know, over time I will continue to add things like that. Like I said, because I have a limited storage space, I am selective about what I buy and when I buy it as funds become available. Like last month, someone wanted to just, for no reason at all, buy me a dress, but she couldn't find one in my size that she thought that I would like, so she just gave me the cash. And so instead of buying something like that, you know, one item or two, I can go buy several items that would probably be better to have. Although having clothes is a good thing. You know, I'm not hurting for that. It's that, you know, I have some that I just don't wear. I choose to keep in storage. And of course I change by season. But I may go by something like say like I'm, you know, peppermint essential oil. I may go buy me a bottle of that because the bottle I'm currently using, that I have been using, because I use it as a topical pain reliever on my right knee occasionally, and that one is about gone. Or I may go buy me an extra of something that I would normally buy just for, say, like a month or two of use. Or I may go buy me a tool that I might want to have that I currently don't have. Or I just may go buy food with it, you know, just I can take that and get a few different things that I can add to my preps instead of just one or two. Even this plastic lid that was on that entree can, I might have another can that I might want to use some out of, but still cover it. Or I might want to put this on the bottom. See, if I had to put it on a hard surface, I could do that, but just having an extra lid or three couldn't hurt either. That's okay, Sharon. You gotta go do what you gotta do. Hopefully it'll be a good Monday for you. So, yeah, we don't have garages here. The previous place I lived, there are only 5 garages for 36 units. And if you wanted a garage that was not claimed because it might be associated with one unit in that complex, you had to pay extra for that. But if I were still able to live there, I could, I was using the second bedroom as a storage room, plus it was also my computer room, so I was my home office. But I left there for reasons which I'll keep to myself. But I didn't have a personal outdoor space like I do here. And even though it faces north, I can still have pots and grow some stuff. Another apartment I lived in, I was on the first floor, and I had a little patio slab like the apartments below me have. But the way that was shaped around there, water collected in there and it was a water trap. So I had a couple of planters out there. I still have those planters. I just took them from place to place. But I had my little tabletop grill out there because I had cooked on it the night before. And I had doused the coals and I was going to let it sit overnight to cool down before I disposed of the ash. Someone took it. They left a little table that it was on, but they took my little tabletop grill. But, when it rained very hard, because the water would just pool down there, it had a tendency to come underneath the sliding door. So I would have to roll up towels and put down there to catch any water that would leak in. So that was a bad part about that place, and plus I was accused of causing problems because I was reporting problems that maintenance needed to deal with, and although I was not threatened with eviction, I was afraid that I was going to be evicted if I continued to report problems that maintenance would need to deal with. And when I had a leak that was caused by someone overflowing their bathtub and the water leaking down into my bathroom, that was blamed on me. And because my heat pump was in the closet, and then the air intake pipe and the pipe that channels the condensation out, because that was not, there's no proper seal around those pipes, water would leak in through there and it flooded into my closet. And so that ruined a good share of my stuff. And that happened the same weekend that the nuthead above me overflowed his bathtub and just let that, it just drained down and ruined the drywall that held my tile around that was my tub surround, because I had tile up the wall. So those tiles were going to start falling into my tub, so I couldn't take a bath, let alone shower. So I had to rent a hotel room for a week while they fixed that, just so I could at least take a shower. And because I had to empty my closet, all my clothes that were not damaged, because the dresser was ruined as well, because the water leaked under it and it was going to collapse, and it seeped up the wood into the drawer. So I had to take all the clothes out of that dresser and get rid of that. So all of that was piled on my bed, so I couldn't sleep on my bed. And I had more on my furniture in the living room, so I was just left with one chair that I could sit on. I could cook in my kitchen and set up my table to eat, but I couldn't do much of anything else. So I had to sleep in a hotel room. And they only gave me, the insurance. I had kept pushing the up button, so to speak, to get someone who would actually accept the insurance claim, and realize that that's not my fault. I did not do that. I can't overflow the tub that's above me if I don't have access to that apartment. Not that I would do that anyway. But yeah, the apartment manager wanted to blame me for that, for all of it. But it was the corporate insurance that finally gave in. At least they compensated me for half of my losses. I'm surprised I even got that much. Yeah, that apartment manager apparently liked to cause problems for certain tenants who are actually the best tenants. Yeah, finish that off. Yeah, so I left there and went elsewhere. Yeah, this place has its issues too, but at least here I can do things that I couldn't do at any other place I lived here in town, since I lived in Des Moines. Well, that's everything gone. Well, I still have my candies, but Now these two vitamin C candies and this coffee candy. I'll suck on those later. Other than that, that's everything gone. So I'm probably going to go ahead and call this one good. Yeah, got 3.5 hours of grub and gab, as I said in my post about tonight's stream. So once I get some new stuff in, if I get those rations that I actually paid for them yesterday, then hopefully I should get those in before next Sunday. So I will pull one of those. Otherwise, I will come up with something. I'll throw some things together in kind of a ration mashup. So anyway, I will come up with something next week. But anyway, I do want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. And I hope you enjoy the little camp videos that I did. But next week I'll be in here same time, same day, 7 p.m. U.S. Central. Could be midnight or 1 a.m. Europe time or later in the morning in Australia. But hopefully it'll be another good one. So anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.